Okay, so imagine this, right? You're holding like a first edition fresh off the press, or even scrolling through an online magazine, that you helped create.
Yeah.
That feeling, that's the everyday for a publications coordinator. But what does it actually look like? Today we're doing a deep dive on publications coordinators, and we're using RoleCatcher.
Hmm.
It's this really cool career platform.
Yeah, it's amazing, actually. Career advice, they've got job searching tools, even, get this, AI interview practice. It's like having a career coach in your pocket, basically.
Right, so you see this title, Publications Coordinator, and it sounds, I don't know, kind of,
A little dry.
yeah, like stapling newsletters in a cubicle all day. But it's got to be way more than that, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's surprisingly broad. We're not just talking books, though those are definitely part of it. Think of all the content out there. Newsletters, technical stuff, even those company handbooks nobody reads but are super important.
It's like the hidden world of publishing that keeps things running.
Exactly. And someone needs to make sure all those publications, big or small, are actually, engaging. Good to read. It's not just what they work on, but how they manage the whole process, too.
So there's like a managerial side to it, not just pushing words around.
Oh, for sure. They're like conductors of an orchestra,
Right.
bringing together writers, editors, designers, all to create that final product. And they're managing deadlines, budgets, the whole shebang. Keeping up with the tech side, too, which changes so fast these days.
Right. Like, remember when ebooks first came out? Everyone thought that was it for paper books.
And look how the industry's adapted. Audiobooks now, podcasts, all sorts of interactive digital stuff. It never sits still. And RoleCatcher really stresses that you gotta be adaptable in this role. Lifelong learner, always on top of the new software, content systems, social media.
Because at the end of the day, you got to reach your audience, right? And that means understanding how people consume info today, which is, well, not just on paper anymore. It kind of makes you wonder, though, are those long nights hunched over a computer worth it? What's in it for the publications coordinator besides maybe like some free books?
Well, that's where we get into the nitty-gritty, the pros and cons, and RoleCatcher really lays it all out there.
Because every job has those, right? What stood out to you from their analysis?
On the plus side, huge potential for creativity. You're shaping narratives, influencing how info is presented visually, bringing ideas to life. That's got to be rewarding for the right person.
You're like this behind-the-scenes architect for information, making sure it gets out there in a way that's, engaging and looks good.
Exactly. And the variety. One day you're working on a magazine layout, the next it's an online campaign for, like, a tech product. Never a dull moment.
Which probably helps when you're dealing with those tight deadlines we mentioned.
Right,
Because,
yeah.
let's be honest, deadlines are publishing's middle name, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And that means long hours sometimes, especially as you move up and take on more. RoleCatcher really emphasizes that you got to handle stress, juggle multiple projects.
So it's not just being good with words. You got to be good at, like, juggling actual things, too. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
what about the money? Does all this hard work, this creativity, actually pay well?
The million-dollar question. And RoleCatcher's upfront about the job market realities. Publishing is competitive, especially these days, economically speaking. There's growth potential, definitely, but gotta be realistic about the downsides, too.
So not a get-rich-quick scheme, then?
Probably not. But for a lot of people drawn to this, it's not just the paycheck, it's being part of something meaningful. Putting good info out into the world.
Makes sense. Like you're part of this legacy, right?
Yeah.
Shaping culture, knowledge, whether it's the written word or, I don't know, a digital image or whatever. But bills got to be paid, too. So career-wise, where do you go from publications coordinator? Just become, like, senior coordinator, and that's it.
Not at all. RoleCatcher actually lays out a pretty clear path. Starts with entry-level stuff, like proofreading, copy editing. Then you move to bigger projects, managing budgets, even leading your own team.
They even mentioned starting your own publishing company one day, which, I don't know, sounds terrifying and awesome at the same time.
Definitely for the go-getters, right? But even within a company, you can specialize. Climb the ladder, managing editor, overseeing a whole magazine, online publication. Or maybe you're passionate about a niche like technical writing, educational stuff.
So many options. It's almost overwhelming.
It can be. That's where their career guides are great, though. They really encourage you to explore, figure out what fits you, your skills, what you enjoy doing.
Not just finding a job, but the right job.
100%. And speaking of right fit, let's talk about the skills to get these jobs. Dreaming about it's one thing, but gotta convince someone to hire you.
Right. So what are we talking? Good writing, communication, that's a given, I assume.
Non-negotiable, for sure. But RoleCatcher digs deeper. highlights some core abilities that aren't as obvious, the things that make candidates stand out.
Okay, hit me. What are those less obvious but crucial skills?
Well, they're big on reading comprehension. And get this, critical thinking. It's not just moving words around, it's getting the language, the message behind it.
So be a thinker, not just a doer.
Yes, you're always analyzing info. Is it accurate? Is it relevant? How do I present it so people actually care?
Which probably takes empathy too, right? Like stepping into the reader's shoes.
Exactly. And that leads into another big one, RoleCatcher highlights. Active listening.
It's like we always think about listening to someone talking, but in publishing, you got to listen to what your coworkers, the writers, even the audience are saying through their work.
Right, it's about collaboration big time, which is
Yeah.
huge in this field. All those different people we talked about, writers, editors, designers, the publications coordinators, like the bridge, making sure everyone's on the same page.
The publishing diplomat, keeping those lines open, especially with deadlines, budgets. That's got to be stressful, even if you're usually good at staying calm.
Oh, yeah. RoleCatcher talks about complex problem solving being key. Because things never go perfectly in publishing. Gotta be quick on your feet, find those workarounds.
So you've got the skills, you're ready for the exciting world of publishing. But how do you even start? Job hunting is like a black hole. Sometimes applications vanish, you never hear back, makes you want to just hide away and write a novel instead.
I get it, it's daunting. But RoleCatcher, they've got these tools to help with all that, especially the whole digital job market thing.
Spill it.
Mm.
What makes them different from just like looking at job listings online?
One thing is they have this beat the automated recruiter feature, which I love, because nowadays, so many applications, a bot sees them before a human does.
Like you're playing a game against a computer you can't even see. How do you win that?
RoleCatcher uses AI, right? So it analyzes job descriptions, figures out the keywords, the skills that those bots are looking for. It's like a cheat sheet, but, totally legit.
So you're not just hoping for the best, you're being strategic.
Exactly. Highlight the best parts of your resume, your cover letter. Way better chance of actually getting in front of a real person.
Makes sense. Working smarter, not harder.
Mm.
But then even if you get past the bots, there's the interview.
True, those are always a little scary. But RoleCatcher helps there too. They've got tons of practice interview questions for all kinds of jobs and industries. And get this, you can record yourself answering them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and their AI gives you feedback, how you're speaking, your body language, everything.
Like a personal coach, but it's an app.
It-
Way better than practicing in the mirror.
Right. And it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Your tone of voice, if you're like talking too fast or whatever, you get personalized tips.
That's so helpful. Takes out the guesswork. It's like RoleCatcher's got your back the whole way.
Totally. They even do some matching, like connecting you with employers directly based on what you're looking for. No more endless scrolling through job boards.
That's amazing. It really feels like RoleCatcher is changing how job hunting works. Less about luck, more about having a plan. Wish I had that starting out.
Game changer for sure. Shows how tech, when it's done right, can really help people. Open up opportunities you might not even know about.
Really inspiring stuff. So as we wrap up this deep dive, one last question for you listening. How can you use all this, what we've learned about being a publications coordinator, and tools like RoleCatcher to find your place in the publishing world? What stories do you want to tell?
It's a great time to be in publishing. So many ways to be creative, explore those options, build those skills, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
And tell us about it. We'd love to hear your thoughts, questions, even your publishing wins and fails. It's all good. Find us on social media. Our website's got all the links. Until then, happy publishing, everyone.